Did you know that Kirkland has 10 signature whiskeys? We did. That's why we're giving you the truth behind this Costco brand of booze, which not only stacks up against labels like Crown Royal, but it's also cheaper to buy. And what's with the Barton 1792 connection? Stick around to find out. You can't always blame cheap liquor for a bad hangover. There are studies that show that inexpensive booze might not always be your worst enemy, according to Vice. But fans of Costco's uber-cheap alcohol probably didn't need a study to tell them that. Among the many positive Reddit reviews of their private label whiskey is a comment that reads, "It's like everything Kirkland Signature, better than what you paid for it." Even if not, quote, everything, most of them have a surprisingly high quality for the price. According to whiskey expert Joseph V. McAuliffe, Kirkland Signature has 10 different whiskey expressions under its umbrella. 4 Scotch whiskeys, 3 bourbons, a Canadian whiskey, a Tennessee whiskey, and an Irish whiskey. The Scotch expressions include a blended Scotch whiskey and a 12-year-old expression of it, single malt Scotch whiskey, and a 20-year-old and 22-year-old Speyside sherry cask finish, besides a 23-year-old single malt sherry cask finish and an Islay single malt Scotch whiskey that were later released by Costco, as per McAuliffe's article on Forbes.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Costco has never officially revealed who makes its whiskey, but those who shop for their favorite tipples at the big box store can't stop being curious, and one of them took to Reddit to pose the question we all have on our minds. Does Costco make their own whiskey? As per the author of the book, Hacking Whiskey, Aaron Goldfarb, nope, Costco does not make its whiskeys, but sources them from other distilleries. Which distilleries, though? Goldfarb asked the same question to Costco's then assistant merchandise manager, Annette Alvarez-Peters, who said, "Thank you for asking, but again, we don't disclose how we develop Kirkland Signature." Sure, Costco hasn't given away any names of distilleries, but there are heaps of theories out there anyway about the provenance of Costco whiskeys. One thing is for sure, though, David Schick, lead retail analyst at Consumer Edge Research, told Bloomberg, they use very high-end producers, premium all the way up to super premium and beyond. Name a Canadian whiskey. Did you think of Crown Royal? We did too. After all, according to whiskey expert Joseph E. McAuliffe on Forbes, it is the most popular Canadian whiskey in the US, accounting for more sales than all of the other Canadian whiskeys combined. And since Kirkland Signature Canadian whiskey tastes and even looks a lot like Crown Royal, according to Thrillist, it's only natural there are strong rumors about both drinks being produced in the same distillery, Gimli in Manitoba, Canada. However, McAuliffe mentioned that older bottles of Kirkland's Canadian whiskey were imported by Worldwide Importers, a company that was once associated with Sazerac. Sazerac owns the Old Montreal Distillery in Quebec. McAuliffe adds, "For now at least, Sazerac isn't talking, so the source of the whiskey remains a mystery." While it's hard to put a finger on a distillery, what's for sure is that it's from Canada. It has to be for it to be called a Canadian whiskey, according to Angel's Envy. While Costco wraps its other spirits in a cloak of secrecy, when it comes to their Tennessee Sour Mash whiskey, where it's made is more obvious. According to whiskey expert Joseph E. McAuliffe, a whiskey has to be made and aged in Tennessee and run through charcoal chips made of maple wood for it to be called a, quote, Tennessee whiskey, according to Forbes. The Sour Mash bottles have the name of both the master distiller, Mike Williams, and the distilling company, Tennessee Distilling Limited, on it, the same distillery where the popular Sour Mash whiskey, Callier and McKeel, is made. According to Williams, Tennessee Distilling Limited makes whiskeys under both their own brand label and for private labels, like Costco's Kirkland Signature. Whether it be the whiskey for their brand or any private label, Williams said, they make them with the same quality and with the same care that we would make a brand that was our own brand. That's what we have tried to do with Costco's whiskey. Kirkland Signature's single malt Scotch whiskies come from the Speyside and Islay areas of Scotland. We know that because the names of the 2 Scottish regions are mentioned on the bottle. But here's the catch. Speyside has over 50 distilleries, and Islay is literally called the, quote, Whiskey Island since it has a ton of distilleries. Which distillery does Costco Scotch come from? Nobody will tell. All we know is what Cameron Johnston, brand manager at Alexander Murray and Company, said about the single malt Scotch whiskeys being sourced from a bunch of different distilleries, according to Forbes. The bottles mention Alexander Murray & Co. as the manufacturer. The California-based company, per whiskey expert Joseph E. McAuliffe, is the same that provides whiskeys to your neighborhood supermarket Trader Joe's and the alcohol retailer Total Wine. But where do they source the Scotch from? The talk is is that all the Scotch comes from Tullibardine Distillery in the Highlands of Scotland, according to Punch. Though with no proof, it remains a rumor. However, what we know for sure is that Costco did previously partner with the Macallan Distillery that's based in the Speyside region to sell Macallan 18 under their Kirkland Signature label. Kirkland Signature offers 3 Kentucky straight bourbons, small batch, which is 92% alcohol by volume or ABV, bottled in bond 100% ABV, and single barrel, which is 120% ABV, according to the May 2021 edition of Costco Connection magazine. Costco has been open about its partnership with Barton 1792 Distillery to bring out the bourbon offerings. Barton 1792 is a big deal in the bourbon world. Its 1792 full-proof bourbon was the, quote, World Whiskey of the Year in Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible 2020, which is a list that shakes up the whiskey world annually.
On every change in the environment, you'll eventually taste in a glass of bourbon. In a lot of ways, it's like drinking history.
To be called a bourbon, the spirit has to be made in the United States, not necessarily in the Bourbon County of Kentucky, as is widely believed, but anywhere in the U.S. The only catch, the whiskey has to be at least 40% alcohol by volume and aged in new oak barrels. You don't want to splurge, but also don't want to buy a bulk of booze that no one's heard of. Costco gets it. Their private label whiskeys seem to emulate the taste of the popular name brands, all while keeping the cost very Costco-esque. For example, a Kirkland Signature Speyside single malt whiskey aged 25 years is about $89. In comparison, according to Punch, a typical Speyside 25-year-old from, say, Glenfarclas hits shelves around $200. Kirkland's Canadian whiskey is priced at less than $20 for a 1.75-liter bottle, nearly half the rate of its taste-alike Crown Royal, according to Forbes, and Kirkland's Tennessee Sour Mash whiskey price is at around $18.99. Again, less than the Jack Daniels that people often confuse it with. Impressive, but how does Costco do it? As we already established, Costco doesn't make its own whiskeys but sources them from other distilleries. While Costco's lips have always remained zipped about the topic, there are speculations that the big box chain has a deal with some big names in the whiskeyverse, such as Diageo and Edrington, to source alcohol in large quantities for cheap, per Punch.
This is nice. What is this?
Canadian whiskey.
The report suggests that many distilleries are keen on giving away barrels of alcohol for want of space and to maintain strict standards on their own brands. Costco imports the whiskey on a large volume, low-rate basis and sells them at an even lower rate, which it does a darn good job of. Kirkland Signature alcohol has earned cult status. No offense to the chocolate-covered almonds and peanut butter pretzels at Costco, but according to a 2017 Bloomberg report, Costco liquor performed better than their food, and Kirkland Signature liquor was a key reason, noted the Mercury News. The company is pretty selective about what it displays in its liquor aisle. Annette Alvarez-Peters, who used to manage the alcohol division at Costco, explained that it's quite important for them that every item must perform in volume with the limited item assortment we constantly evaluate. And as it turns out, Kirkland Signature has under its umbrella some of the best whiskeys in the world. For example, Kirkland's Signature Small Batch Bourbon at 46% ABV won the Silver Award. Kirkland's Bottled in Bond Bourbon at 50% ABV won the Gold in 2021 at the Whiskies of the World Awards. Meanwhile, their blended Scotch whiskey and Canadian whiskey have been given the exceptional rating by Tastings, a beverage testing institute. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite liquors are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.